are off. Flying through the hallway like a disco moth. Hitching to the couch, then I loop through the fan. My tiny whoop's grooving like a funky jam. I dip through the doorway, spin by the cab, bounce off the toaster, yeah, I meant to do that. Neighbors knocking, saying, what's that sound? It's my brush motor soul train getting down. Flying through the curtain, dancing on breeze. Freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic, bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight. Can't stop it all. I got LED strobes and a shag rug trail. I'm looping through the lava lamp, leaving a tail. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got soul. I'm the pilot of the party. On a roll, TV remote's a gate, the lamps a dive. I'm flying like it's 7.5. No GPS, no rules, no shame. Just a funky little quad in a soul train frame. We fly that flow. Grab that gap. No time to nap. No time to nap. Hit that roll. Funk and control. Bounce that wall. We fly it all. We fly it all. Tiny whoop love, funky and free. We fly indoors, we fly with glee. Whoop it, loop it, groove it, move it, bounce it, flip it, funk it, rip it, fly that soul, don't lose control. Tiny whoop love gonna make you whole. I thread the needle through the vinyl stacks, bounce off the mirror ball, never looking back. My quad's got soul, it's got style, it's got sass. It dips through the incense like a blast from the past. I'm flying figure eights through the lava lamp glow, dodging house plants like a funky pro. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got heat. I'm the pilot of the party with the grooviest beat. I loop through the hallway, I dive by the broom. I'm the disco ghost in your living room. I hit that split that's over grandma's chair. She just claps and says, boy, you got flair. I'm flying freestyle with a velvet touch. My quad so smooth it don't need a clutch. From the shag rug to the ceiling fan, I'm the funky little fly with a master plan. The curtains dancing on the breeze. Freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight. Can't stop at all. Can't stop at all. Can't stop at all.
What's up, friends? My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Whoop Wednesday. We are going to talk about how to check the health of a drone. A drone in all capital letters, because, you know, we call them quads, we call them whoops, we call them all these other things. And then we leave the word we leave the word drone for the people that don't know anything. But if you want people to find your shit on YouTube, you better use the word drone over and over and over again. I am sending this Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoop to Spider Sugar to check out. And so I figured before I send it, it would be a good idea to, make sure it's healthy. I was flying it Monday night. Yeah, I was flying it on Monday night stream, and it felt like it was maybe making a little bit less power than it should. Maybe I've just been spoiled by the builds that have all the power in the world. And so, yeah, it's a really great opportunity to show you guys what you can do, because, like, you know, you look at it and you make sure there's nothing hanging off of it, but you can also like spin the motors up, check for vibrations, put new props on, see if that changes anything. You can fire the motors up in Betaflight to see the different RPMs that they're turning to try to find one that's weaker than the other. And so, yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff that you can do. I'm going to show you how to do all those things. You should do this every once in a while. You know, the checking if there's one ESC channel or one motor that's on its way out is something that you can do with turtle mode. So there's no excuses. You can do this, you know, at the end of a battery, in the middle of a battery. You can do this on the bench. So, yeah. Get in the habit of doing this, and you'll catch stuff that's like on its way out before it lets go in the air and slams to the concrete or to the bottom of the ocean. What's happening? There we go. The Bruce was first in chat. Nyafu, capital C, you can FPV, Chaser, McShaky, Life Behind Bars, Four Little Pigs, it's Render in it. Denzel, the Terrible Tongue Out FPV, Whoop Fox, B-Bird, Jeremy, Skull 901, Meyer CR, which is Craig, Bob Noxious is in the house, Apache Smokewood and Sniper, Cole FPV, Danzel the Terrible, CXB FPV, Levster, what's up everybody? Thanks for hanging. Life Behind Bars says, thanks for all the super secret Betaflight tips. Launch mode is rad. It's fun, right? And you're certainly welcome. If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, type at CiottiFPV. Tag me. You can do that with each other. If you type at and then you spell someone's name correctly, for that person, it'll light up in orange. Cool? B-Mud Skipper, Levster, Cole. What's up, friends? Thanks for hanging. CiottiFPV.com is where you go to support me if you like this kind of content and you want to see more of it. Yeah, there you go. I charged a battery all the way up. A controller battery, a transmitter battery. It's like 3,000 mAh. I charged it all the way up on the Vifly Toothster. For the record, if you have a Vifly Toothster, that's a 2S charger with a balance lead. If you have 2S 3,500 mAh, 4,000 mAh, whatever transmitter batteries, you can plug them into the damn thing and charge them up. It takes them forever because what do they max out at? Like 1.2 amps? So it takes hours to do it, but it prevents you from having to fire up your big-ass charger. And so, yeah, use your Toothster to charge everything that's 2S. Just hook the balance lead up and hit go, and it'll do its thing. Speaking of tips, life-changing tips. It's still ridiculously cold here in Georgia. Although I no longer have a cold, which is awesome. Yesterday morning, I started to feel a little bit better. And then this morning, I woke up and I was like, okay. I've been having an allergy attack and rubbing the shit out of my eyes all day. But I don't have like the... Gah! That's my description of being sick right there. I need to get some ELRS receivers. I've run out of ELRS receivers apparently. What's the hot lightweight ELRS receiver? And or does anybody want to trade an ELRS receiver that uses a little mini Mortal T for I've got two EP2s with the little ceramic antenna on board, and I don't really need those guys. I need little so if somebody wants to trade, if somebody has an extra, what is it? It might be EP1. Whatever. I don't care the manufacturer, but the little tiny ELRS receivers that have the UFL port for the external antenna. If you have extras of those and you'd rather have one or two EP2s, let me know and I'll trade you. Other than that, yeah, I need to snag some. I have been waiting to get some more XRs. I've been putting the XR, the Radiomaster XR receivers are the... Is it XR? Is it XR? Radiomaster XR4. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. So the Radiomaster XR line of receivers are for Gemini. The XR4 is the one that's full-blown Gemini. It's got it's actually two receivers in one. each of the receivers is both 2.4 and 900. So the XR4 is expensive. It's $46 here, $42 here. You don't really need the XR4 on everything, though. So there's the XR... Is it the 1? Yeah, the XR1. There it is. Yep. The XR1 you can get with this dual band antenna, and it has both 2.4 and 900 on board. If you run that dual antenna with the long 900 and the short 2.4, you can just you can just go into the Lewis script and switch it between 2.4 and 900, which is really, really slick. The XR2 is locked down. I don't understand it. I don't know why you wouldn't just get their regular... Like, I don't know what makes it Gemini if it's locked down to 2.4. It's got a ceramic antenna on it. And then the XR3 is diversity, but not Gemini. Again, I don't necessarily know why you would get that. But, yeah, XR1 and XR4, in my opinion, are the ones to go for. The XR1, you can buy it with a 2.4 antenna or a 900 antenna. That seems pretty silly to me, because then if, like, the whole point is that it can do 2.4 or 900, but you would have to physically change the antenna every time, which is insane. I guess maybe on like a wing where you have more access, it would make sense, but like on a quad, you know, that's going to be a total pain in the ass. So yeah, XR1 with the dual antenna, which is like $1 more, is the one that and it's a lot less money. It's $15. That's the one that I've been putting on like the freestyle rigs and all kinds of stuff. I wouldn't necessarily put that on a 3-inch build. I'll probably just get cheap 2.4 regular ELRS antennas, receivers for that. I mean, I guess if I kept getting XR1s, I could just put them in 2.4, run the little 2.4 antenna, and then if at some point I needed to move them to a different build, I could do that, and then put the giant antenna on there. Yeah, I mean, they're only $15. What's like a regular receiver cost? Radiomaster ELRS receiver. They have a bunch, man. So there's the XR2. God, $12. That's so cheap. I don't understand the XR2. I don't know what makes it an XR. It's only going to be able to do 2.4. I don't really understand it. RP. So RP are their other antennas. What in the world? It's a 3-pack. Whoa. 3 of them for $25. Is that real? Wait. What? It said 3-pack a second ago. This is not a 3-pack. What? Why is this $25 and it has no ability to do Gemini? What in the world? That's odd, isn't it? What? What? Why would anyone buy this? Let's figure it out. Let's finger it out. Radio Master XR1. Okay, so we're going to look at the XR1. Oh, yeah, okay. We're going to look at the XR1 with the little 2.4 antenna, right? Teddy, don't you dare. Teddy! Don't you dare. Don't you do it, dog. All right, let's compare the specs. Okay, we're going to put the specs right up top here, and hopefully that will make it easier to compare them. So, XR1, $15. Firmware version doesn't matter. maximum packet rate, DK500 or K1000. RP1. Refresh rate, 500 hertz or F1000. All right. Firmware version doesn't matter. Item doesn't. Firmware target doesn't really matter. Maximum receiver refresh rate, 25 hertz. I'm sorry, minimum refresh rate is 25 hertz. Minimum packet refresh rate is 50. Interesting. Okay. So the RP1 potentially will have longer range because you can go down to 25 hertz instead of 50. Frequency range 2.404 to 2.479. That should certainly be the same. They don't even call it out here. Nah, it doesn't say 3-pack anywhere in the listing. It said 3-pack on Google, but it doesn't say 3-pack anywhere here. It says 3rd generation, and like, oh wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong item. This item said 3-pack on Google, but it doesn't say 3-pack anywhere in here. Right? This is just for this, and like the picture specifically just shows the one, right? So Google must have been pulling some weird shit from somewhere. Let's keep going. Derpa. I put specifications up top here. What's next? Stop it! Antenna, that's not going to matter. Frequency range, dimensions, it doesn't really matter either. Telemetry RF power, 10 milliwatts. 100 milliwatts. Whoa! The XR1 has way more telemetry power. That's interesting. RF chip, Semtech LR1121. Semtech LR1121. Semtech, I bet you that's the difference. SX1281. I bet you something about this SX1281 is weirdly more expensive. I don't know. That's weird, right? And let's check the MCU too. MCU is EPS 8285, EPS 32C3. Okay, so there must be something about the MCU that that makes the RP1 more expensive. That's really weird though, isn't it? RP1 is maybe a little bit smaller too. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit smaller. So, okay. But it's almost $10 more. It's $9 more expensive. And it won't do dual band. That's so weird, dude. That's so weird. Right? And with the dual antenna, it's not even more expensive. It's 16. It is hard to find in stock though. Yeah, that's strange. Whatever. Oh, and look, the Semtech LR1121 is it has this because it does 2.4 or 900. So that makes sense. Strange. Very, very strange. And it's not like you can only run this on Gemini/Nomad. Like this XR1 will work on everything. Craig says RP1 weighs 2.2 while the XR1 weighs 1.0 without the antenna. Yeah, the XR1 will definitely be a little bit heavier because it's a little bit bigger. But you know, we're probably talking half a gram, if that. Very weird, right? It's not just me, right? That's weird. Look at that. Three pack. What is that? What's the deal? Why? What? -3 -pack 05? What does that mean? But then when you click through, it's not. Well, you know what? Let's find the RP1 somewhere else. RP1. Yeah, see? No, look. $19 for an RP1 at Pyrodrone. Why is it 25 at GetFPV? I bet you this is when Tiny Hands McGillicuddy was threatening 7,000% tariffs. I bet you GetFPV changed the price and they never changed it back. Is the only thing I can really think of. Very weird. RP1. There it is, 23 on Rotor Riot. Yeah, so Pyrodrone just has it a lot cheaper than everybody else, it looks like. Strange, man. Very, very strange. Whoopfox says, will a 1210 bi-blade make more thrust over a 1208 tri-blade playing with props? The 1208 tri-blades are pretty bad. They're very heavy. The 1210 bi-blade is comparatively a lot lighter. Here's what you want to remember. The pitch is per blade. So the 10 pitch on the bi-blade, each blade has a pitch of 10. The 1208, all three blades have a pitch of 08. So if you have a motor that's strong enough for the weight of the 1208, technically yes, the 1208 should make more thrust, but realistically the 1210 is going to be, you're going to like the 1210 a lot better. Very weird. Very, very weird. Not your question. This Radio Master situation is very weird. Radio Master's receiver lineup is incredibly confusing, and like it sure would be nice if they had something kind of breaking it down. I think basically what has happened to them is that they came out with the RP line of receivers, and then they did, and then they did the XR line for Gemini, and like they've already made 1 million of these RPs, so they're just still out there, and there seems to be something about the RPs that's more expensive, and so they don't want to lose money, so they keep selling the RPs at whatever the whatever the price that they can sell them at. But now all these XRs are the newer tech. But like this XR2, for example, like the XR line of receivers are for Gemini. This XR2 will only ever be 2.4 because it's on a ceramic antenna. So like what would make this Gemini? Well, yeah, see, so look. It is only, here's the XR2. It's only 2.4, and then it's not compatible with Gemini. I'm guessing that the way that they make this XR2 is cheaper, or the chips that they're using for it are cheaper, so they can sell it for less money. And they're just like, hey, the XR are our new receivers. If you need a tiny little one for a toothpick, here you go. If you need a diversity one, here you go. The diversity one is the XR3. If you need just like a single receiver one, here's the XR1. Bonus, the chip that we put in it does 2.4 or 900. Great, you can just connect the different antennas. And then the XR4 is the proper one that actually works with the dual band Gemini setup. That's my guess. But boy, it would be nice to, just have a little thing kind of talking about that. Yeah, so they don't mention, let's do a Command F. Yeah, see, they don't mention Gemini anywhere in here. Well, oh, associated products, yeah. Okay. So I'll bet you the XRs, well, this one doesn't. I'll bet you the other XRs, all the commonality is they all have that chip that'll swap between, and you can see that here. You can see that in this chart here. The 1 and 3 have that Semtech 1121, where the hell it is, chip that'll switch between 2.4 and 900. There's no point in putting that on this one. Maybe they put it on this one because it's a cheaper chip or whatever. But yeah. Here's something interesting. I want to get your guys' take on this. Let's go to Radio Master, and I want you to read this along with me. It sounds like, am I not going to be able to find it? Is it like buried? Here we go. Look at this. I don't know if we looked at this. We might have already looked at this, but Okay, look. Quick update on LR 1121. Look, I remembered LR 1121 basic equipment. And LBT. What's LBT? I wonder. Now available XR123, fully LBT certified and performing blah 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 blah, blah express LS firmware. Now available on website. TX15, the transmitter, fully printed blah 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 blah. But look at this, right? Gemini series update. Our dual LR 1120 based products, GX12, XR4, and the DBR4. The DBR4 is gigantic and silly, but it has 4 separate UFLs on it. 2 for 2.4, 2 for 900. And no bad are working perfectly in standard modes, but Gemini functionality is currently being refined, as in isn't working correctly, right? These products will be released once full Gemini mode compatibility is confirmed. But here's the thing, right? This is from 2 weeks ago. Why would they say these products will be released? They're already released. You can buy all this stuff. Like, what's happening with that, right? I've been running Gemini stuff, and it's been working totally fine. Here we go. Here's Rider197 saying, I have XR4. Why XR4 is not sold anymore? But it is. XR4 is fine and still available, but Gemini modes and LBT are not ready but being worked on. But they're there. They are ready. It feels like, I don't know. It's weird, right? LBT is EU. Listen before talk. What do you fucking mean by that? What would listening, who am I going to listen to? It's silent here. You guys listen. I don't listen. Oh no, that's what LBT stands for. What an asshole. Ever see a grown man make an ass out of himself on a live stream? Oh, you've watched the stream at least once before? Well, okay. Well, then you've definitely seen that. Oh, that's great. All right, let me get before I miss half of chat here. Let me get caught up on chat a little bit. Listen before talk is what LBT stands for. So that's EU mode. So I wonder if but it says Gemini modes and LBT are not ready. Okay. I don't know, man. It's fucking weird. But then it says here, LBT support. It says watch this. Can we get a little bit more info here on what Gemini functionality is currently being refined means? It means been using it for weeks and it seems fine. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Tell us more. You know? Come on. Give us something. All right, so there we go. There's a window into the insanity that is me. Yeah, I would absolutely love to know why the RP1s are so expensive in comparison. What's nice is that they're in stock. But like, yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. What the hell? Let's get caught up on Chad. Craig says, howdy gangly gang. CiottiFPV, very funky tonight, CiottiFPV. Bob Noxious says, what's up? Craig says, can you share your FPV funk song on Discord? So, FizzPV used AI to create the new opening and outro songs. I don't necessarily know if he wants them to be like public. He sent them specifically to me. So one other person asked, and I said, hey, they're FizzPVs. If you ask him nicely, maybe he'll send them to you. I haven't heard back, so if he lets me know, I would actually rather like him put them up. I'm gonna message him. People, somebody else is asking for. Is asked for me, or are you willing to share with the class? All right, cool. I asked him. Maybe he'll put it up in general nonsense. Apache Smoke Wood in Cyprus says, "How are you doing? Too early for me. Just can't sleep." Well, just stick around. You'll be asleep before you know it. Denzel the Terrible says, "I call them helicopters." Life Behind Bars says, "Thanks for all the super secret Betaflight tips. Launch mode is rad." We're going to talk about that one. Craig says, "I have used the Tooster charger for my 2S transmitters. Too lazy otherwise." I love it. It's not laziness. It's efficiency, yo. Render says, "My 04 Pro from Flywoo finally shipped after 2.5 weeks. Got naked 04 and 04 Pro cameras coming along with it. Very cool." FizzPV says, "Everything I do is for the class, working on one of the Discord channels now. And working on one for one of the Discord channels now." Awesome. I told everybody that you might put it in general nonsense if they behave. That's pretty cool. That's a hell of a wait, but it's amazing that you got it at all. Stephen Corley says, "I appreciate your help and advice. I'm back to putting together the second X12 2S board I bought. Exact same things are happening. Attempt to detect motor direction. The receiver is freaking." That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense, dude. Other than like it's a bad batch. It's potentially a bad batch of X12s. I only vaguely remember what we were previously talking about with it, but from the context here, it sounds like the receiver's not behaving, which is super weird. Muppshot says, "Howdy folks, EP1 is the external antenna." Yeah, weird. What you would think that EP1 would be the tiny little one with the built-in antenna, and the EP2 would be the one with the external, but whatever. Stephen Corley also says, "The last board caught on fire once I got the motor direction correct. Half of the motors were acting funky straight into the box, and it's doing the same thing." I guess it's a bad batch because, like, unless, like, your soldering is really bad, but, like, I can't imagine your soldering would be that bad twice in a row. I don't know, dude. There's like with AIOs, you plug them in and they work. Like there's not a whole lot that you can do. Like, are you doing something weird to them? Are you like clicking the catch on fire button? Craig says Radio Master has XR1 dual band for $12. Oh my god! But then you're gonna get hammered on tariffs because we live in a fascist country now. So we don't want that. Mupshot says EP1 and EP2 mixed. McShaky says Gemini single band means it sends duplicate signals on a different frequency within that band in case there is jamming. Just one part of the band from, say, Wi-Fi. No way. I did not know that. Which mode is that? Do you know which mode that is? There's like a million different modes on the Gemini stuff. Hi. All right, here's where we were talking about the weights and sizes of them. Yafu says all the XR receivers except the XR2 can do Gemini, but they're firmware gated. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. LBT is listen before talk. System required in all of non-FCC areas like EU and Asia. Levster says LBT is EU. LBT is EU. Render says. Mupshot says LBT is the radio. Craig says, LOL. FizzPV says, I heard that a lot as a kid. You Can FPV says, who am I going to listen to? It's silent here. Oh, yeah. Craig says, RF Wireless World. What's that? What's RF Wireless World? Is that a place that has these things in stock? Judging by context, maybe that's it. RF Wireless World. What's that? Oh, look at this madness. Oh, man, this is where all the good data is. I ain't going to read any of it. I have a hard time. RF stuff is a bit outside of my comfort zone, and I try to read stuff on it, and it just turns into the fucking teacher in Charlie Brown, just like literally I'm reading the words, and in my brain I just hear I'm getting old, man. Craig says, I mean, I could clip the funk song out of the stream MP3 file. FizzPV says, doing one that is for the therapy crew based on my status. Based on my status. All right, so he knows. Maybe he'll hook everyone up. Where'd chat go? There it is. Frank Nicholas is in the house. CV Coley says, this is the one that caught fire. The one that you're working on, I guess. Levster says, in Europe, 2.4 gigahertz, the system has to listen before talk, means it has to check that there's nobody using the channel where you transmit in that moment. That makes sense. Stephen Kohler says, just soldering the battery leads. Yeah, like, no, something's going on. I refuse to believe that you've... And, like, if your soldering was bad, you'd bridge the battery leads, you'd plug the battery in, and it would explode. Like, there's something going on. Craig says RF Wireless World has a discussion of listen before talk. There we go. Life Behind Bars says Fly High has good prices on the Radiomaster stuff. Yep, he's holding a few of the XR1s for me, actually. I'm waiting for him to get XR4s in. Matter of fact, I should probably check in on him. It's been a little bit since I bugged him. Fly... There he is, David. XR4s come in yet by chance? I think I want 4 XR1s and an XR4. All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, shit. If the XR1s are this inexpensive, I'm just gonna get a shitload of those, and if I need if I'm putting them in a 3-inch rig, I'm just gonna put a 2.4 antenna on it and just use it locked into the 2.4 mode. And at some point, if I need to move it to a different rig, to a bigger build, it's good to go. Like how much less expensive could a regular small 2.4 ELRS receiver be? ELRS receiver, $12 for the Beta FPV. That's, $3 is not enough of a difference to get a Beta FPV anything over Radiomaster. $13 for this one. Doesn't even say who it's made by. HGLRC one is $17. It's more expensive. That's insane. Here's one that's $11, but it's got the silly little flat antenna on it. We don't want that. Off Axis with a 50 Canadian dollars super chat. Holy shit, dude! Thank you so much. Incredibly generous. FizzPV posted it to General. There we go. It's called Flying Through the Curtains. There it is. Go get it. Link to my Discord on CiottiFPV.com, friends. Off Axis says, I just got a bunch of HQ props and a Beta FPV Meteor for DJI 04 Lite from Rotor Village, Canada, and going to install my first DJI Air unit. Any tips? Glue the camera wire. Cheers. Yes, definitely glue the camera wire. Just run a bead of E6000 or something like that around. You'll see it on the back of the camera. You'll see where the MIPI plugs in. and you'll notice that there's like a daughter board, like a separate PCB that's got a bunch of legs connected to the main board of the 04 camera. So you're going to run a bead around that to strengthen up that little daughter board to the main board of the camera. That's really it, to be honest. They put 2 blobs of glue on the MIPI to hold the MIPI down, so you don't have to worry about that popping off. So you're gonna put it onto the Betaflight Meteor. It'll be plug and play. No real tips. The 04 comes with grommets that are going to be perfect. They're bigger on one side than the other, so you're going to put the tall side down to space it out. It's going to be plug and play. It's super straightforward. Make sure that you have screws that are long enough. But I'm going to assume that Betaflight ships the Meteor meant for the 04 double stack with long enough screws. If they don't, let me know. I've got M1.2 by 12s and 14s. But yeah, no, it's super straightforward. It's kind of ridiculously straightforward. I've built an 04 Lite Tiny Whoop on this channel. It's probably the Mobula 7 04, but there's nothing that you can't handle, dude. You'll be good to go. Yeah, you'll be totally good to go. Just definitely do something about that spot with the wire there. I'm trying my beard to kind of even out a little bit. Why? Stop it. Flygedelic with a $5 super chat. He says, my Air 65 keeps failsafing. Is the flight controller bad now? When did it start? If it started when you were monkeying around with Betaflight, it might not be a bad flight controller. If it started randomly or when you smashed it into something hard, yes. The Betaflight stuff is notorious for the receivers and the VTXs failing. So more than likely, it's the receiver chip on there failing, as so many of them do, which, you know, sucks, because other than that, the air stuff, the air flight controllers are really good. But boy, it feels like everybody has one that's either on its way out right now or has already failed, myself included. I have a few. Alfax says right on, just afraid to break it. Yeah, it is. It is weird to have like a $300+ Tiny Whoop and be like, all right, I'm gonna build this now, because, like, you know, Tiny Whoops are so finicky as it is, but usually they're like $100, so it's like, well, this is probably gonna blow up, but at least I'll only be out for $100. Stephen Coley says, gotcha. I hope not. That's why I'm asking your thoughts, and I agree it has to be a bad batch of boards if settings don't cause fires this time. It didn't force DFU update. Well, so didn't force DFU update. Don't update. So you mentioned you have 2 of these X12s. You've got one that's caught on fire, so that one's obviously done. The other one, don't update it. Like, for the most part, unless you get something that's on Betaflight like 4.1, don't update it. There really hasn't been much, if anything, since Betaflight 4.2 that has changed enough to warrant updating stuff. And so, yeah, there might be something that's happening in the update, but there shouldn't be. I've got a bunch of X12s that I've updated to 4.4, 4.5, and they're totally fine. But in general, unless you have a good reason to update, don't. Just leave it alone. Ever since 4.2, we've got RPM filtering. The dynamic filtering hasn't changed enough to really make us a noticeable difference in performance. So yeah, and in the process of updating, all kinds of weird shit can happen. Typically, it's just VTX table issues. But yeah, don't update without a reason, in my opinion. Yafu says if my ambiguous legally flying aircraft can only fly on 4S or 6S, which should I fly long range with? 5,000 mAh 4S versus 5,000 mAh 6S. Is the amp draw decrease worth it? It depends. It depends on... well, so 5,000 mAh 4S versus 5,000 mAh 6S. The 6S battery, the 5,000 mAh refers to each pouch in there, right? So as an example, this is a 300 mAh 1S battery. This is a 300 mAh 2S battery, right? If we take a scale and we weigh them, I know this is a weird way to do this, but just bear with me. If we weigh these, the 300 mAh 1S battery is 8.5 grams. The 300 mAh 2S battery is 15.3 grams. This has some wires and a plug on it and whatnot. This has a plastic cap. So it's not a head-to-head comparison. But roughly, the 2S 300 mAh battery weighs twice as much. And that is a very easy way that you can figure out that this is two 300 mAh cells. So 600 mAh total. This is one 300 mAh cell. So that scales, right? So a 4S 5,000 mAh has 4 times 5,000, 20,000 total milliamp hours. The 6S 5,000 has, what's that, 30,000? 30,000 milliamps. So the 6S battery is going to go a lot farther because it's got more milliamps on board. It is going to be a lot heavier, right? So that's a part of it. You want to remember that. A more fair comparison would be like 3,500. I don't know how to do the math, but like roughly 3,500 milliamp 4S versus 5,000. I'm sorry, reverse that. 5,000 milliamp 4S versus like 3,500 milliamp 6S, right? That math is close, but it's not perfect. But yeah, keep in mind that the milliamp of the battery is each individual cell that's in there. Now, depending upon the amp draw when you're cruising, right? So you said long range, so you're not going to be going full throttle. You're not going to be hammering it. I mean, you might. Like, 4S, if you hammer on it, is going to be less efficient. So it depends on you. It depends on how you're going to fly it. If you're going to fly it long range out to a mountain and then gently traipse down the mountain, the 4S is probably going to be totally fine. If you're going to fly it out to a mountain, hammer it down the mountain at 60, 70, 80% throttle, then 6S is going to be significantly more efficient because at those higher when you ask for more power, the higher voltage is going to come into its own and have less amps. So it depends. It depends on how you're going to fly it. Howdy Newbie says, how fast do you need to get there? Yeah, exactly. If you're doing long range stuff where you're hauling balls, then 6S is going to be the way to go. If you're doing chill, cruisy, efficient long range stuff, then 4S is totally fine. 4S is going to be easier on the flight, the ESC. So that's an advantage of 4S for sure. The 4S batteries are going to be a little bit cheaper, more than likely. Not just because you're looking at a 4S 5000 and a 6S 5000, but like if you compared them properly, if you compare a 4S battery with 20,000 total milliamps across all the cells versus a 6S battery with 20,000 milliamps across all 6 cells, the 4S battery is always going to be a little bit less expensive. So yeah, the majority of the benefits are with 6S. But if you never go full throttle, if you never go beyond 75% throttle with a 6S setup, kind of may as well do it on 4S. Also, it's going to depend on the KV of your motors and stuff like that. So, yeah, a lot of things kind of go into that. Good question. Funkadelic says, thanks, I flew about 600 batteries through it. That's pretty good. That's really good, actually. Yeah, that's a good lifespan for a tiny Whoop AIO. As long as those weren't like 600 long-range batteries where you never went over 20% throttle and never crashed into anything. Whoop Fox says, other than the ORT microvee, any other good tips on getting less static in my 65mm video? I've been happy with the V, got the few crazy colors coming from your store. Yeah, they're in the mailbox today, actually. I think there's only one blue ORT micro V left, and I'm not going to do another order right away because I have to hit a certain quantity. So if you want a blue ORT micro V, you better go in there now, and it's going to disappear. I think I have the inventory correct finally. Getting good, clean analog video is all about where you stand. So pay really close attention to that. Try different spots, really. Try flying from different locations, and you'll find one that's significantly better. Having an antenna on your goggles that's up above your liquid-filled brain cavity also really helps. A nice long antenna that's going to put the head of the antenna up here. That's going to help quite a bit. That's really it. Don't fall for the trap of just cranking the power up more and more and more and more. The more power the quad outputs, the more bounces and potentially the more multipathing. So try 25 milliwatts, try 100. It might actually be better at 25. I run everything at 25 here in the house. Those are the main tips. Good quality antenna on your goggles. Good receiver on your goggles too. Like the rapid fire works really, really well. Apparently the Sky Zone built-in receivers are really good. If you have infinite money, the HD0 V2 goggles are phenomenal, apparently, for analog video. So yeah, there's a bunch of tips for you. Stephen Corley says, the first one wouldn't let me open the web app without update. That's annoying. That's super annoying. Don't use the web app. McBucas says, I just got an X12. Well, that probably means it was on too old of a flight firmware, so you would have kind of had to update it, I guess, in that case. McBucas says, I just got an X12 from Pyro. It was from 2023 and came with ELRS version 2. I had to update it just to get it to bind. Old boards are still out there. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Striker's in the house. He says, still reminiscing on how great the race spec flew. The first battery before it exploded. 65 outside is pretty great, surprisingly, when there's zero wind. Yeah, it's very fun. I did a whole live stream about that a couple weeks back. Denzel the Terrible says, hauling balls is the only way. Full Stankalotopus for life. I cannot believe that I came onto a live stream at some point and said Stankalotopus, something that I don't say much, but I do say every once in a while. And now one of you absolute lunatics, it tickled your brain, and now you're saying it too. I apologize in advance for all of the insane shit that you all now say. Striker says, Newbie Dern stopped responding 20 days ago after I sent the pictures. I've sent 3 follow-ups and nothing. I don't know what to do. I just emailed Weebleed because I'm at a loss now. Don't just email them. Message them on Facebook. Message them on Instagram. You know what I mean? I don't have any ins over there anymore. So I and it's kind of weird for me to message them and be like, hey, you need to respond to one of your customers. Like that's super awkward. But yeah, message them elsewhere, I guess. For all you know, your emails could be going to their junk their junk folder and they don't even know about it. I'm really tired of email is just the absolute worst way to communicate at this point, which is kind of insane because it should be the best way. But yeah, it's real bad nowadays. So try to hit them up somewhere else, or do what most people on Facebook do: post your story on their Facebook group complaining about it, and then guaranteed they'll see it. Everybody will pile on, and then they'll respond to you that way. Message them on Facebook and Instagram before you go that route, but that's always the nuclear option. Nyafu says, it's surreal that my 65mm whoop draws more amps at 60% throttle than my 800mm wingspan wing blasting at 100 kilometers an hour. If I set it up to max throttle, it probably still barely draws 20 amps. One motor versus 4, though, so it's kind of starts to make sense. But that is insane. McShaky says, I've caught an ESC on fire by flashing the wrong BL heli. Yeah, yep, flashing the wrong ESC firmware will make one FET push one can make one FET push one direction, another one push the other direction, and that'll create a lot of heat really fast. Levster says, SpeedBee has module for 89 pounds that beats Skyzone easy, but it beats Rapid Fire. You should try that. I tried to get the SpeedBee module, and they said, sorry, dude, we don't make it anymore. And then I looked for it, and I couldn't find it for sale anywhere. So, yeah, it's... apparently, it's really good, though. I've heard it's really, really good. Off-Axis says, you got to meet the Enzo the Terrible. He is a stank-a-lot-of-puss, JK. Cole FPV says, some chowderhead co-op that stank a lot of puss, huh? Striker says, honestly feeling that 3.5-inch tech again might check the new Vaney style mini frame out. Don't do that. There's lots of other 3.5-inch frames from people that aren't Trump supporters. People that don't think Trump's doing a great job. La 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 la. Quadmula frames, yo. Quadmula is the way to go. Their frames are just insane. Just so good. So good. All right, cool. Let's talk about how to check the health of your drone. First things first, visual inspection. I cannot believe how many times I will look at someone else's quad and I'm like, what is this hanging off of it? And they're like, oh, how long's that been there? Or there's just something insane, like screws that are backing out and all kinds of wild stuff. Look at your gear. Look at your gear more often than you currently are. Look at your gear with a 5X loop, right? Just look at your stuff more often than you currently are, and you'll find issues. I've just found an issue. That's a problem. The entire tip of that propeller is missing. That is a big problem right there. That could explain all of the issues that this thing is having. So that propeller has to get swapped out. These are the prototype HQ props. I don't have any more of these. I believe that these are no longer prototypes, and they make these props, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to tell you what's different about them. But yeah, these are prototypes that were sent to me ages ago, and yeah, so that is a huge issue. The fact that I don't think I have any more of these propellers means that I'm going to be putting this onto a totally different prop, which is kind of annoying because this looks so cool with all clear and then a little bit of green. But, it's got to work good. If I ain't going to fly good, the quad better cover my ass as good as possible. So let's get some 1.2-inch props out here and see what's happening. So I should have a little bag in here with one more of these prototypes. Yeah, here it is. Is it the right Oh, it's the right rotation. That never happens. Whenever I get all the way down to the last propeller, and then I break the propeller on the quad, it's always the wrong one. Cole says, never pre-flight check. Always send it until no send no more. Until it no send no more. There we go. Cool. All right, so we're going to replace this propeller. No, we're not. I'm going to put this onto... because I want him to be able to beat the living shit out of this thing. I should put this onto propellers that I can send him a couple extras of. It's going to look so stupid, though, with green motors and then, like... What color do I have? I've got red. It could be the Christmas quad. But then he might think that, like, I'm sending it to him as a Christmas present. And keep it. I do have a couple of the green ones in here, but they're not the right green. We'll do that. We'll put the green props on. Okay, so I'm gonna take these. I'm gonna take these prototype props off. They're not. There's nothing magical about the prototype props. They're just a different pitch. They're a slightly different pitch, and they're not even like. They're. You could run these interchangeably with the 1.2 by 0.9s and never even know it. But yeah, I'm not going to send this with propellers that, if he swaps out, are going to be a little bit different. That's just silly. So let's pull all 4 of these off. And now I've got a perfectly good set of these clear props, which is pretty fun. So yeah, to be honest, propellers are a good starting point for a health check on a quad, because if the propellers are banged up, if the even just like if the propellers are old, something that like nobody really talks about is the fact that propellers are a wear item, even if you don't crash, right? Like, think about it. Have you ever, if you haven't done this, you should do this. If you you need to safely go full throttle with a quad that has the propellers on, and you need to watch how much the blades flex. It's insane. They flex quite a bit, right? And so we fly these things 3, 4, 5 minutes at a time, constantly hammering the throttle up and down. The PID loop is constantly spinning the motors up and down. So these poor little propeller blades are just non-stop getting bent, unloaded, bent, unloaded, bent, unloaded. And they wear. Like, these props wear out. So, yeah, change propellers more often than you think you should. If you crash as often as I do, then you don't have to change them until they're broken, because you crash them a lot. Like, it's not something that I've ever really had to do, because propellers are constantly coming on and going off of these rigs, and so there's always kind of a relatively fresh set, or a banged up set that I've bent back straight, and they're, you know, one crash away from needing to be replaced. So, yeah. There you go. Replace your props more often than you think you should. I'm going to put this thing on green 1.2 by 0.9 by 3s. Right high, left high. Well, I only have 4 of them, so they'll be correct. Right high, left high. Okay. So, that is good to go. That's the first thing we're going to do. But since I have the propellers off, I'm going to show you how to check the health of your motors. But first, there's more. No, there's not. There's not. Let me just put these away real quick here, and there we go. All right. Where'd the thing go? There it is. So, first thing you want to do is, I'm going to be doing this a little bit out of order because I just pulled these props off. Visual check first. Take it, bend it up a little bit, make sure that none of the ducts are like hanging on by a thread. Look around, make sure the frame's not broken. Check to make sure the screws are all tight. All right. Now you're going to spin if it's a tiny whoop, you're going to spin the motors up while you're holding it. So you can just arm it and then raise the throttle a little bit. You're feeling for vibrations. Then you're going to go into turtle mode, and you're going to spin each motor up individually. So you're going to go in the diagonals of turtle mode, and you're going to do it real gentle. Or you're going to hook it up to Betaflight, and you're going to go in the motors tab. You can only really do this with tiny whoops. Anything bigger than tiny whoops is going to gash your face off and eat your children. So with a tiny whoop, you're going to hold it. You're going to ramp each motor up. Well, you only really need to do it like halfway. You're going to notice between 30 and 50% throttle, that's where all the vibrations happen. And so in the motors tab, you're going to pull each motor up individually while you're holding it, because you want to feel for the vibrations through your fingies, and just ramp the motor up mainly between like 30 and 50%, 20 and 50%, and then go to the next motor, and then go to the next motor, and then go to the next motor. You're going to do this with the props on. That's going to tell you if the prop and motor which prop and motor combo is the worst balanced. That's just kind of good to know. At that point, you're going to replace the propellers. But when you have the propellers off, you're going to do that exact same thing. So we can certainly do it. I'll show you how to do it with turtle mode. It's very exciting. You're going to just... This is going to absolutely blow your tits off, what I'm about to do here. It's exactly what I just described. It's really just insane. But just for the sake of argument, I will show you. So you're going to plug a battery in, flip into turtle mode. For me, that's this switch here, into the middle position. You're going to arm, and then you're just going to go in the diagonals. And just a little bit. You got to be real gentle. Don't go full. Nothing's going to happen at full throttle. So just super gentle while you're holding it. You're going to go... I don't know if I can do this one-handed. Let's see. So you're just going to go into the diagonals. And you can look at it and make sure that only one motor is spinning. I was doing it wrong just now, and two motors were spinning. Now just one spinning. Just a little bit. And you're feeling for the vibes. Go up here. Ooh, that motor's way worse. The front motors are going to be worse than the rears usually. Motor 4. Motor 3. You can literally hear the motors that are bad. Ready? Motor 1. Motor 2. Motor 4. Motor 3. And now, just so that you know how low of a throttle I'm using here, ready? So this is what I was just doing, and then I'm going to go to full throttle. You'll hear it. This is where all the vibes happen. That's full. There's no reason to spin it up to full. It starts vibrating. Any vibrations that are there go away because it's spinning at 1 billion RPM. So don't go full throttle when you're doing that check. So there you go. You can do that in turtle mode, and that has told me that the two front motors are more beat up than the rear motors. The other test that you can do is you take your fingernail and you put it right next to the motor shaft. The motor shafts bend, and then so they wobble when they rotate. And so if you put your fingernail next to it, you'll feel how badly it's wobbling. It is a lot easier to do this in Betaflight, but I can probably still do it here on the bench. Let's see. In turtle mode. So I'm going to take motor number 1. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can totally do it here. I'm just going to kind of hold it with these fingers, and then my index finger, I'm going to push up against the side of the motor. The side of the motor shaft. There you go. You can really see it. And so now this one's not bad at all. Let's check motor 2. I kind of hold it like a claw. Motor 2. Motor 2 is worse. It's not that bad, though. Feel a little bit worse. Motor 4. Motor 4 is even worse, a little bit worse. Still not that bad, though. And then motor 3. Down and left. Motor 3 is super clean. I guess you could also put your fingernail next to the motor bell. Never thought about that. If the bell is vibrating, the motor shaft will also be vibrating. But there's a chance that you've bent the motor shaft down below the bell. And that'll show up in the motor bell vibrating more than the motor shaft vibrating. Doesn't do anything to your fingernail, you're fine. It is easier to do this in Betaflight though. So let me show you that. Because in Betaflight you can really get the RPMs down super, super, super low. So let me grab this camera and I'm gonna point this down like this. And we're gonna swap here and we're gonna hook this up like this. And so, gotta plug in a battery because we're gonna spin the motors. And that kind of makes it annoying because it like won't sit flat on the desk, but you'll figure it out. You'll be fine. And so now I'm gonna connect to Betaflight, and I'm gonna go to motors. I can smell it getting hot. This works amazingly well, by the way. That'll bring the temperature way down really fast, all right? So you're gonna go to each individual one. You can just grab it and move it up, or you can just click it and then use the up and down arrows. And if you use the up and down arrows, you can really spin this motor slow. And so slow that it sounds like a spaceship. And so this motor is spinning incredibly slow right here. So I can really feel how smooth it is. So that's motor number 1. Now motor number 2. Doing the same thing. I'm just putting my finger right next to it. And the slower you spin it, the more obvious it's going to be. And so now I can definitely feel that motor shaft is a little bit bent. It's not that bad though. I've tested a million of these, so I know what is like really bad. You might not know that yet. You'll get there. You got to do this. The more often you do this, the more you'll figure that out. Here's motor 4. Slow it way down. And yeah, it's pretty bad. And then motor 3. Motor 3 is nice and clean. And so here's what that looks like in the actual motors tab. So I click it and just raise it up a little bit to just kind of get it going, and then I up arrow. Up, 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 up. And in this range, 1050-ish and a little bit below, that's what I was doing. I was just bringing it up here. And you can just grab this and you can just kind of do that like this. But yeah, when you're doing that little finger test, you want to do it in here. If you're going to hold it in your hand and feel for the vibrations, you're going to be up here between like 12 and 13. And you'll feel it. Just sweep it up and down. For this motor, it's right there. That's the worst of the vibrations, right in the 1150 range. You'll feel it and you'll hear it. Motor 3 is the cleanest. Motor 3 is damn near brand new. And motor 4 is the roughest. Motor 4 right here. It's the worst. And you'll feel it. You'll just feel it through your fingers. So, motors 2 and 4 are hands down the worst. But I've tested a lot of these motors and they're not that bad. Like I'm not going to swap these motors out because of that amount of shaft bentedness. What I am going to do though is check what kind of RPM the motors will pull. And in order to do that, we have to use Betaflight. So I shouldn't have disconnected this. I am going to cool it down a little bit. All right. And so The problem is Betaflight cannot, 8-bit ESCs cannot drive these high kV motors that we've got up to their maximum RPM. And here's what that looks like without a propeller on them. So if you try to do this right now, watch what's going to happen. Motors tab. Zoom in so you guys can see. And what you're looking for is right here under the R. This is the RPM. And now ready? 83,000, 82, 83,000, 82, 83,000, 82, 83,000. They're all exactly the same. That is the maximum RPM that an 8-bit ESC can push a motor to, which is not the maximum RPM that these motors will turn. That doesn't matter, though, because once we put propellers on these motors, they're not going to get anywhere near that. So that's what we're going to do next. So we've established that, yes, the front two motors are a little bit worse than the rears, but they're not so bad that they need to come off yet. That's up to you. You could decide, hey, now's the time. If you want the quad to fly better, there you go. Keep all four motors relatively matched. And like the reason you can do that is that the rear motors just don't take as much abuse. I will rotate motors front to rear every once in a while. You actually want to rotate them diagonally, because if you rotate them diagonally and you've been making sure that you put the red dot motors on 1 and 4, you won't have to change the motor direction in Betaflight. It just saves you a little bit of time. If you haven't been paying attention to the red dot on the motor plugs, then yeah, it doesn't matter how you rotate them, because you're probably going to have to get them spinning. But yeah, now would actually be a great time to rotate these motors front to rear, but I'm not going to. So we got a fresh set of props here. I've got my 0.99 millimeter drill bit, which is over on my Etsy store. This is a brand new set of HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3s. So let's see how much material I need to remove. Okay, so it will not go on. So this inner diameter is definitely too tight. And so we put it on there, and the first pass we spin the tool. If you spin it in the correct direction, it will pull the propeller down itself. This is going to remove a little bit of plastic, but not enough. And so spin it for a little bit, and then pull the prop out while you spin it. And now you've removed a little bit of material, but this propeller is still going to be too tight on this 0.99 millimeter drill bit. It definitely does go on there a little bit easier, but it's still really fighting against me. So now what you do is you force it on here without spinning it. When you spin it, it doesn't take much plastic off. You force it without spinning it, like you just saw me do. You force it all the way down, and then you pull it as evenly as you possibly can off, and look for a little puff of white. Ready? I don't think you could have seen it. But there's a little puff of white that comes out. That's the plastic that you're removing. And so now we're going to do it again. Each time you push it onto this 0.99 millimeter drill bit, it's going to get easier. And so now we'll do it one more time. And now, after you've done this a bunch, you'll learn what the right amount of force is. That's about right. And it's usually 3 cycles. It's usually 3 non-rotating cycles on the 0.99 millimeter drill bit that these propellers take to remove just enough material. And then the real test is putting it on the motor, because all we're trying to do by opening the center hole is make it so that we don't have to push it down so goddamn hard that we wreck these motors. So you put it on the motor, make sure it's lined up, and then just do this with 2 fingers, because that's going to be the weakest way you can do it. And pay attention to how much force you have to put on it. That was about right. It kind of did that thing where like I pushed and then it like released, and then it kind of, I hate when it does that. I like it better when it kind of smoothly goes down on the motor shaft, but sometimes it just doesn't do that. What you can then do with the next prop is instead of doing it 3 times, do it 2 times or do it 4 times and see. But you're going to learn with the 0.99 millimeter drill bit how much pressure, how much force you need to put on the propeller to be able to tell how much, what the actual inner diameter has become. You'll see what I mean. After you do this a bunch, you'll get kind of a feel for it. So this one I'm only going to do twice, but the first time I put this one on, it was actually a little tiny bit looser. And so now this is a clockwise propeller. And so that's about right. That's about right. You notice I wasn't like using my middle finger. I wasn't like fucking putting my elbow up in the air. I wasn't switching over to my thumb. Like, all those things are going to wreck your motors. You're going to bend your motor shafts. You're going to slip the motor shafts. Those are all the ways that you can ruin a perfectly good set of motors. This 0.99 millimeter drill bit will actually, for $5 on my Etsy store, will save you $20+ on a prop puller. If you drill these props out correctly like this, you actually don't need one of these. It's really nice to have one of these. The Propodial will totally work, and if you order something from my Etsy store, I throw one in for you for free. These are really nice to have, but still, if you properly drill these propellers out, you'll be able to remove them with your bare hands. Using the Propodial is even better, and you can get one for free. So, you know, do that. But, yeah, it's all about this right here. And every single propeller is different. Every different type of propeller is different. But even like me going between 4 props that came out of the same bag, these are slightly different. That second one only needed 2 passes, and it ended up being pretty much exactly the same as the first one. Sometimes when you're pulling this off, it'll fight a little bit too hard, so you got to wiggle it a little bit, but try to not have any rotation in it when you pull it off like that, because that'll remove the most material. I also think that it leaves little like strakes on the inside, which are great because you want the prop to grab rotationally, but you want it to be able to come off and on the motor a little bit easier. So having like inner strakes, or I don't know if that's the right word, is kind of what we want here. And now I'm going to do this one a third time because I can just feel it. I can just feel that it's still a little bit too tight. I'm actually going to do this a fourth. There it is. That's the right tightness. Kind of the same thing with the 0.99 millimeter drill bit. If you have to like really push on the propeller, it's way too tight. As you remove material, there'll be a point where it's significantly easier to put it on and off that drill bit. That's when it's about right. But all you got to do to test it is put it onto the motor, because, and that's really important because different motor manufacturers use slightly different thickness motor shafts. The RC and Power motors, for example, are a little bit thinner, a couple hundredths thinner on the motor shaft, and it does make a difference. So, yeah, always check it on the motor. This one I actually I should not have done it a fourth time. That is on the limit of being a little bit too loose. It'll be fine, but I shouldn't have done that one the fourth time. This one is, I had to really push that to get it on there. A lot easier this second time. So much so that I'm actually going to stop there and test fit it. If you go to test fit it on the motor and you start having to push really hard, stop. Take it back off and hit it again with the 0.99 mil drill bit. Always do this with 2 fingers. Oddly enough, this one's actually a little bit too tight. I started to have to push too hard on it. And as long as you catch that before you get it all the way down in the motor shaft, it's really easy to get the prop pullers under there and pop it off with no damage to the motor. Make sure when you're using your Propodials, you do not twist. You never want to twist these propellers. That is the most effective way to break the laser weld between the bell and the motor shaft. All right, one more time. I put it down there. This is also when you'll start to see the hairs that are in here. And if you've got a hair that's wrapped around the bottom of the stator, get it the hell out of there. Those are the hairs that you have to worry about. The ones on the top of the motor bell, unless it's a big clump of hairs, they'll never screw anything up. But if you get a hair that's wound just wrong around the stator, like this one may have been, that can affect the performance. So de-hairify your motors. All right, so we hit this one more time. Let's see how it is. And always make sure that you get it started. You want to make sure that you get it started so that when you do this, it doesn't go to the side and potentially bend the motor shaft. This one's good. So this motor shaft is a little bit thicker, it feels like. I had to put a little bit too much force on that one to get it to go all the way down. But it's too late now. It's all the way on there. There you go. Now we've got props on that will come off. Stephen Corley, I do have a Race Day Quads affiliate link. It's on my it's on CiottiFPV.com. So this battery we've used a little bit. That's totally fine. Don't use a dead battery for this next part. Use a relatively charged battery. We are going to spin these motors up to full throttle in Betaflight, and we're going to look at the RPMs that they pull. This is going to test the health of both the motors and the ESC FETs at the same time. And then if we find a problem, we can figure out which it is. We'll talk about that in a second. So connect to Betaflight, come into the motors tab. I'm going to zoom you guys in. And again, what you're looking for is right here, this RPM value. You're going to click I understand the risks down here. That opens these bars up. And you want to do this as quick as you can. 60,000. Oh, come on. Stop. Get out of there. 64,000. Stop it. Oh, for fuck's sake. 64,000. 60,000. Motors 1 and 4 are 4,000 RPM shy of motors 2 and 3. That's not that bad, but it's a perfect excuse to rotate these motors front to rear. So we now know that motors and ESC channels 1 and 4 are not producing, they're not winding up as high as 1 and 3. And so all we have to do is move motors around to figure out if that's a motor issue or an ESC channel issue, right? So perfect. I'm just going to take both rear motors and put them on the front. And so channels 1 and 4 are the weakest. So I'm going to take motor 1 and I'm going to put it on channel 2. I'm going to take motor 4 and I'm going to put it on channel 3. And if that lower RPM moves, then the problem is the motor. If it stays the same, the problem is the ESC channel. Does that make sense to everyone? If I do this, I am going to have to reorder, change the rotation of the motors, which is admittedly annoying. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do one of them because I have changed the motor wires on this motor here, motor 3. And so it's probably not correct from the color of the marking on the connector. And so I'm just going to do these two as a proof of concept, and it'll also save me a little bit of time here. So let me do this as quickly as I possibly can. Does that make sense to you guys? How that kind of works? How moving the motor is going to tell the tale here? If it doesn't, let me know, and I'll explain it in a different way. Sometimes I start going 1,000 miles an hour, and like it's okay if you're new or if you just need it explained in a different way. That's totally fine. You're not alone. There's a dozen more people. If you feel that way, there's at least a dozen more people that feel the exact same way. Do all of those people a favor and tag me real quick and say, hey, can you explain that in a different way? I'm not quite getting it. So, it's going to be important after we do this to first get the motors rotating in the correct direction. If the motor is spinning the wrong direction, the propeller blades are significantly less efficient going the wrong way. So, and I've made that mistake before. So, keep that in mind. If motors 2 and 3 were the problem, I'm sorry, if motors 3 and 4 were the problem, or 1 and 2, hold on, no. If motors 1 and 2, or 2 and 4, or 3 and 4, or 1 and 3 were the problem. If the motors that are the issue are not across from each other, it actually makes the situation a little bit easier. This motor now needs to go back here, I think, right? I'm pretty sure that I'm doing this correctly. I might have just taken this motor off and I'm putting it right back where it was. I'll be able to tell by how bad the motor shaft is wobbling. The fact that the cross motors, the fact that 1 and 4, which are diagonally from each other, are both turning a lower RPM, that's a little bit annoying because I have to do this front to rear. I prefer to switch motors diagonally because then, in theory, you don't have to change the rotation in Betaflight. But that is me being quite lazy, to be real honest. So, yeah. But, you can call it laziness if you want, or you can call it being efficient and trying to save time, which is actually what it is. All right. So, here we go. First things first, I'm going to get him spinning the right direction in Betaflight. And in the process of doing that, I'm going to put my fingernail next to the motor shaft to make sure that I didn't just take these two motors off and put them in the exact same spot. Pretty sure I didn't do that. I'm pretty sure the green motor wires were on motor number 3. And the black was on motor number 4. So let's see. Let's see if I just completely screwed this up. You wouldn't believe how many times I've done that. You wouldn't believe how many times I've gone to switch 2 motors, and I take the first one off, I take the second one off, I put the second one right back where it was. It's pretty insane. So we're gonna come into the motors tab, and we're gonna go to motor direction. We understand the risks. Wizard, start and spin. Motor number 3 is spinning the correct direction, as is motor number 4, which is not a great sign. I think I might have taken them off and put them right back where they were. But to confirm that, I'm going to take motor 3, I'm going to spin it up real slow. Nah, this is the banged up one. So I did swap them. And I'm just confirming real quick that this is spinning the correct direction, which it is. And then motor 4, it's also spinning the correct direction. And yeah, that's much cleaner. So the motor 4 is now the cleaner motor up in the front. Okay, putting the props back on, we'll spin them up, and we will determine whether or not that missing RPM is the motor or the ESC. So, here we go. The battery has discharged itself down a little bit, so we're going to repeat that entire test so that we have 4 samples to choose from. Motor number 1, 60,000. Motor number 2, 64,000. Motor number 3, here we go. Well, it's rubbing. Why is it rubbing? Just because I've been molesting it a little bit, I think. So let me bend it. It cannot rub. That will make a drastic difference to the RPM. Shit sticks. Come on now. Don't rub. This frame is pretty beat up, so it's not super surprising that it's rubbing. But we got to get that fixed. There we go. 60,000, motor 4. 64,000. What did we learn? Is the problem the ESC channel or is the problem the motors themselves? Type ESC or motor. Where's the problem? First time we tested it, motors channels 1 and 4 were 4,000 RPM too low. Well, I'm just telling you the answer right now. This time that we tested it, motor this and this were low. So the problem is the motors, right? I took this motor that was 4,000 RPM too low and I put it here, and it was 4,000 RPM too low here as well. So the problem is the motors. 4,000, like, you know, 60,000 versus 64,000. What's that in percentages? How do I do that math? It's not just dividing, is it? 64,000 divided by 60,000 equals... That does work. 1.066666. So this 06, it's that is a 6%. I think that's a 6.6% difference. So two of the motors are 6.6% too low. Let's convert that to kV. So these are 36,000 kV motors. So 36,000 kV motors times 0.06 equals 2160. So two of these motors are basically 34,000 kV motors. 36,000 minus 2160. So yeah, 36,000 minus 2160. So two of these motors are only 33,840 kV. That's kind of fine. I don't have two more of these motors to swap on here. And that's not enough of a difference. The PID loop will take care of that. The PID loop will limit all four of these motors to 33,840 kV. That's still a lot of kV. That's still plenty of power. You know, if that was twice as much, and then we were down to like 31,000 kV, then I would think about changing them. But this is fine. You know, this is a basher rig. I want Spider Sugar to bash the living shit out of this. When he sends it back to me, I'm gonna bash the living shit out of it some more. And so this is kind of fine. But now we know where this thing is at, right? Like, we know that that what's interesting here is that motor 1, and this is actually really important, motor 1, which spins nice and clean, is one of the weaker motors. Motor number 4, which is now motor number 3, that one's banged up, and it's the other weak motor. So the motor shaft being bent has nothing to do with the amount of power that the motors are actually making. If I had to guess, the stator windings on these two motors are maybe like a little bit messier, or any number of things could be wrong. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's wrong. We know that two of these motors are underperforming a little bit. But they're not underperforming that bad. They're not underperforming bad enough that I'm going to switch them out. That's up to you to decide, right? Like, if you want absolute peak performance on your rig, yeah, you're taking both of these motors off and putting some fresh ones on there. When you put the fresh ones on there, you got to do that same test, though, because these motors could have been like that right out of the box. This stuff, all this stuff that I'm doing, you want to do this often. You want to do it as soon as you do a fresh build to get yourself a baseline. You want to do it when it starts to get banged up. You want to do it again when you replace anything, right? Like, you need to repeat this test, because when we get these things out of the box, especially with tiny whoop stuff, there's no telling what kind of actual performance you're going to get. What's really nice about doing this stuff over and over again is you're going to start to remember. You're going to start to remember how much vibration is too much vibration. You're going to start to remember some of these RPMs, and you're going to build this knowledge base in your head of what a powerful, what RPM a powerful motor will do on a 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 propeller versus a bi-blade versus whatever, right? So do this stuff as often as you can, and before you know it, it'll get quicker, right? You'll throw it into Betaflight, flip the motors up, see what the RPMs are, good to go. This thing's healthy, this thing's not, and then you decide to change it or leave it the hell alone. Make sense? Let me get caught up on chat a little bit because you guys are probably asking some good questions. Render says, imagine he fell in love with the prototypes and realizes he didn't have any to replace them with. LOL. I did like the prototypes. They weren't. I couldn't really tell a difference, but I mainly liked the color. They were fine though. Render also says, my whoop props end up like 1.5 millimeters shorter. The tips grind down a ton after a bunch of batteries and crashes. Yeah, mine too. My tips also get bent up especially on the ultralight HQ props. CiottiFPV says, yeah, my props don't last long. Off-axis tits are blown. Craig says, wobble baby, wobble baby, wobble. One of my best Instagram videos is a set of T-Motor F40 Pro 4s wobbling like a motherfucker with that song playing in the background. Or playing on top, rather. Stephen Coley says, do you not have... Oh, no, we got that. CiottiFPV says, 4 times? I need like 300 times usually, so I started using a drill so it doesn't take an hour for 4 props using the bit from your store. I've actually only ruined 1 prop that way, too. Worth it, LOL. What the hell props are you running? And I will say, if you are spinning the drill bit, it takes a lot less material than if you mash the propeller on there and then yank the propeller off with no rotation whatsoever. The drill bit really digs in when you pull that prop out straight. So if you've been spinning the drill bit the whole time, that would explain why you're having to use a drill. Levster, although if what you're doing is working, keep doing it, Levster says, I heard when BL Heli 8-bit ESC spins faster than 90,000 RPM, they get desync. Is that right? Maybe, but we'll never know because it maxes out at 85. As we saw a minute ago, with the props off, the maximum RPM that it'll turn in there is like 82, 83, 84,000. So yeah, I don't know how you would find out. I don't know how you would get it to spin more than that. I guess that my guess would be that that's a theoretical thing. There's probably math that you can do with 8-bit to figure out, smarter people than me can probably do that. Howdy Newbie says, thanks for the knowledge. Tomorrow I'll get into Betaflight to check my drones properly for the first time. You guys will... It's always interesting because you'll have this one rig that's always kind of flown weird, and then you'll do this, and you'll be like, oh, look at that. One of the ESC channels or one of the motors turns like 20,000 less RPM, and then you'll swap it out, and the thing will fly totally fine again. Super, super, super easy to do, but really important to do it. Using the Motors tab in Betaflight is the best way because you've got that RPM, but you can do what I just did. Let me show you. So if you're out in the field and you want to do this, or you don't have access to Betaflight, whatever, sometimes you can do this with turtle mode. But you got to listen really carefully. Let's see if we can hear it. I was being impatient, and the second that ELRS connected, I unplugged it. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to do all 4 motors. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. In turtle mode. And I'm going to go full stick this time. And you got just listen to the pitch. Hear it? Motor 1, then motor 2. Ready? And then motor 3, then motor 4. Ow. Make sure you're holding it in the middle here. Make sure you're holding it like this. Don't have your finger like that. Motor 3, then motor 4. Ready? I can't. I hope I wasn't pointing the thrust at the mic because you wouldn't have been able to hear shit. Ready? 3, then 4. Right? Motor 3 and motor 1 are the ones that are weak. We saw that in the motors tab. You can literally hear it. I hope you guys can hear it. I can hear it. As a motor spins faster and faster and faster, the pitch gets higher and higher and higher. As you just heard, hopefully, motor 1 and motor 3 were a lower pitch. Those are the ones that are turning 4,000 less RPM in Betaflight. Blauda says, what kind of quad is that? This is a tiny whoop. I call this the ultimate freestyle tiny whoop. But yeah, I guess we're supposed to stop calling them tiny whoops. We're supposed to just call these whoops. Jesse Perkins wants people to stop calling them tiny whoops. Tiny whoop is his company name. That is what we've called these for the longest time, but he wants us to stop, and it's not a big deal. So we'll just call them whoops. Levster says, I just checked, got the SpeedyB module. They 100% in stock, maybe not for the USA. Yeah, this was a few months ago that I contacted SpeedyB, and they said that they're not making that module anymore, and then I looked for it all over the internet, and I couldn't find it in stock anywhere. All right, so visual check is the first thing that you're going to do to check the health of your tiny whoop. Then you're going to spin the motors up, either in Betaflight or not in Betaflight. Then you're going to take the props off, replace whatever props are banged up. While the props are off, you're going to spin the motors up with no prop on them. You're going to put your fingernail next to the motor shaft to see which ones are wobbling the worst. Then you're going to put fresh props back on it, and you're going to listen to see if you can hear any motor that doesn't wind up as far as another. And then you're going to take that motor and you're going to swap it with another one. Hopefully one of the other ones that was a higher pitch than it. If you do it in Betaflight, you can look at the actual RPM numbers to figure that out. And then when you swap that motor, if the problem chases the motor is the issue. If the problem stays, then the ESC channel is the issue. And there you go. This is not an analog Air 65. This is a custom build. This is Newbie Drone Cockroach V3 frame, Tiny Whoop Firefly 0702 36,000 kV motors. These are HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 propellers. This is a Happy Model 2G4 AIO, the most durable and best Tiny Whoop AIO that we've ever had. This is a Mobula 6 canopy, Runcam Nano 3 camera, and one of my custom length ORT microvee antennas that I sell over on my Etsy store, which is linked on CiottiFPV.com. This is the CiottiFPV Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoop. This is the best combination of parts if you're looking for something to do the kind of flying that I'm gonna now do for the last 10 minutes of the live stream. Fly your 6 batteries today, friends. I'm gonna fly 3.5 for you. You fly the extra 2 and then fly 4 more. If you fly 6 batteries a day, you will be so much of a better pilot in a month, you will not even believe it. Getting good at flying these things inside the house, off throttle, throwing them across the room, doing Matty flips, power loops, all the crazy shit requires a lot of time and a lot of batteries. And so if you start doing 6 a day, that's going to build a really nice habit for yourself. With a Tiny Whoop, you can do 6 batteries in like 15-20 minutes. Do it before bed, do it first thing in the morning, do it on your lunch break. Just keep going. Just keep flying 6 a day, and so easy to fix that. Flip it into turtle mode, Although we were just in turtle mode. Flip it into turtle mode, which is going to spin the propellers the wrong way. It's going to send thrust upwards, and it's going to flex the blade downwards. That's going to flex the blade down. Oh, the mic cut out. Yeah, because I got the wrong mic selected. There we go. Thank you for that. So yeah, you just go into turtle mode, and you spin that one motor all the way up to full. And that's going to clearance that propeller. And now we're good. The ducts are more narrow at the bottom than the top. Alright, this battery is done. Because I've been plugging it in and doing all the shit with it. I said 3.5 batteries. What I meant was 3.1 batteries that I'm going to fly. Alright. I'm going to fly 3. You fly the other 3, and then fly 3 more, friends. 6 batteries a day is the right number. It's totally achievable. And it's just the right amount of time for you to get warmed up. Boy, does that feel better. Oh my god. Oh my god, really? Hey, I bet you I don't have crash recovery. The new crash recovery settings on this thing. This is flying a lot better than it was the other night. That one propeller that had like the 2-3 millimeters missing from the end of it was almost certainly the issue. Where's the dog? There he is. What a lazy motherfucker. Look at you. Look at you. Get your ass down here. Come on. Get up. Get up, little dog. How much do I have to harass him? There he goes. All right, let's chase him. Oh, God, look how sleepy he is. Look how sleepy he is. Oh, God. Easy. Oh, really? Come on now. Yeah, buddy boy. Oh. There he is. He's too sleepy. He's too sleepy to fight. Woo! The right lens in my goggles is all fogged up. It's really annoying me. Yeah. Oh! I was in the zone, god damn it. You blew it! Oh. I can't see shit. Both lenses are all fogged up. Hold on. I can't see a goddamn thing right now. Why is my face so hot? Alright. There we are. Oh. Wow. I just turned on HD mode, apparently. Woo! Boy. I saw that coming. I saw it coming. I'm like, it's too late to do anything, so we'll just let it crash into the damn thing. Woo, boy! Nope, so I just got, crash recovery was just on, and it locked me out for the amount of time that the default setting was, so I need to change that in the CLI. We're gonna do that real quick. In case you didn't see the live stream about deep dive into crash recovery the other day, I'll give you the cliff notes real quick. 3 minutes of runtime. That's pretty awesome. I don't think I got 3 minutes of runtime the other night on any of those batteries. I might have gotten close. So yeah, there's a delay built into crash recovery that, in my opinion, is a little bit too long. And so here's how you fix that. Stickflick FPV with a $49.99 super chat. Dude, incredibly generous. Thank you so much, brother. He says, keep doing your thing. Thank you, man. I will. Because of generous bastards like you, I certainly will. CiottiFPV.com has a million ways that you guys can support me. Head on over and join Team Bing Bong. All right, so we're going to type get, and then we're going to start typing the word crash. C-R-A-S-H. And now you can see it's giving you all of the things in the CLI that have the word crash in front of them. We don't care about crash flip. All the rest of these have an underscore. So I'm going to add an underscore. Get crash underscore. These are all of the crash recovery things in Betaflight. At this point, what I can do is hit enter, and it'll give me the full list. So D threshold default value is 50. I have it turned up to 80. That makes crash prevention not turn on when I don't want it to, basically. G threshold default is 400. I have it on 600. Same deal. It makes crash recovery not turn on when I don't want it to. Set point threshold, I didn't have any luck figuring this out on that live stream, but this value of 500 versus the default of 350 works really well. So you can just leave it there. Crash time. Hold on. Let me just look. Yeah, okay. So it's crash time. This is the one that's too high. It's 500 is a half a second. So basically when crash recovery turns on, it's going to run for a half a second. And that is what's, I believe that's what's locking me out for more time than I want it to. So the easiest way to adjust this, so you can see the allowable range is from 100 to 5,000. I think I went all the way down. So you take this line, you copy it, you come down here, you type set space, you paste it, that's the current value. I'm going to turn it down to 100 though. You hit enter and it'll tell you crash time has been set to 100. At this point you type save to lock it in, but let me just check the rest of these. Crash delay equals 0, so there's no delay between when it sees the spike in G-force and when it turns on, so that's good. The recovery angle of 10 we kind of talked about. That's a good, nice number. That's the default though, so the default is good there. The recovery rate, this is how quickly it gets back to that level state. The default value is 100, which is a little too slow. I do like it at 200, so I'm going to leave this. And then the yaw limit, the default works really well here as well. So I'm going to type save. And I believe that's exactly how I set the other one up. I might have maxed out that rate on the other rig that we did the other night. I don't necessarily remember, but it's that other one that I changed that makes the biggest difference. Instead of locking me out for a half a second, it's going to lock me out for a 1/10 of a second. Here we go. You guys might not notice the difference, but I certainly will. Oh, really? Okay. Oh my God. Come back to me, little friend. Oh, he's getting interested. Teddy, are you going to be a lunatic? Is it that time, buddy? Is it crazy boy time? Nope. Still not interested enough. See if I... Oh. See, I was about to say, see if I rail it past him a couple times if he'll become more interested. Oh, God! Man, I'm flying like a bag of smashed assholes tonight. What is happening? I should not be taking this off, but it's fine. Ugh. A bunch of stuff that I do around here that requires a chunk of piloting skill, but also a chunk of luck. And some nights, that luck just doesn't come through. Ah! What else can I blame it on? Curvature of the Earth? Northern Lights? Ooh, that hit the dog. If that didn't get him fired up, I don't know what will. Hey, he's still very docile. Oh, you saw the twitch. He's getting pissed. Nope, still doesn't care though. This is what usually sets him off. Whew, shit. Oh! Got a little lucky there. Ah! I just touched the ground and it bounced me up. This is the hardest gap in here, hands down. Especially now that I have these ORT microvee antennas on all these. I have them set up to go out the top of the canopy, and they sit nice and high. Oh my god, I can't believe it went through that gap. And they'll hit the bottom of this. Ah, there it is. The dog is currently rooting through the garbage can, which bugs the shit out of me. I know why he's doing it, though. One of his squeakers is in there. All right, friends. Last battery coming at you. I love when that happens. Last battery for the night. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you check the health of all your quads. Keep in mind that anything bigger than a tiny whoop, you do not want to be spinning it up with the props on. That is for sure. Don't play that game. Here we go. Last one. See if I can do some cool shit. Let's go upstairs while the battery's fully charged. Whoo! Yeah, this thing's got power. Oof. Had to bail on that one. Oh, I had to bail on that one too. Oh well. Ceiling fan tried to get me. Oh, I just cut it a little too close there. Oh, and it just threw a propeller. Yep. Damn it. Well, or a propeller broke at the hub. Hang on, I'll be right back. So, that was the propeller that I drilled out a little bit too much. And I don't have any more green propellers, so we're going to leave it there. And I'm going to go upstairs and try to find that prop. I drilled it out too much, but what I can do is take fine-tipped tweezers, put it into the... I gotta get back in shape, Jesus Christ. Put it into the hole in the middle of the propeller and scrape it around. You got to use the sharp tips. Scrape it around. That will dig into the plastic and it'll raise the outsides. And that's what I'm trying to do. And so I'll be able to fix that prop so it doesn't fly off again. But I got to go find it first. Thanks for hanging, friends. Hope you learned something. Hope you had a good time hanging out. CiottiFPV.com is how you support me. Patreon is the absolute best way that you can support me. But there's lots of other ways over there. Buy something cool for my Etsy store. Schedule some one-on-one time with me on Fiverr if you really want to learn fast. Lots of good stuff going on. Cool? Click YouTube things if you'd like. And I'll see you guys on Friday at 7 o'clock. Be here or be square. Love you, bye. Here's some more flying. Oh, by the way, the flying from the beginning of the live stream was the Avata-killer, ripping around Patrick's spot. Cool. Cinesplore, Cinewhoop build without a big old heavy GoPro on it, and 04 Pro on board. Here's a little bit more of that. See you Friday. Later.
Yeah. Out in the yard where the grass grows wild, CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grinning like a child. Teddy spaghetti's, fur flies, and jet wash dreams. Yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Big fuzz and prop spin, all tangled in place. Yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail in the circus of the sky. They never fail. CiottiFPV, Teddy spaghetti, dynamic duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed. They zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ciotti's on sticks, Teddy's on paws. Side by side, legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen, over couch scale terrain. Backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz, fuel, fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise. Yeah. Yo, Ciotti behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle mic. They on the dog drone streets every day and night. Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive. Teddy push throttle up, feel the beast come alive. I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in. Teddy, yeah. Let's rip this loop, ride the roar of the wind. Teddy, yep, yeah. CiottiFPV, yeah. Teddy spaghetti, yeah. Diamond and duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed. Zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Teddy spaghetti, and duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed. Zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, when you hear that bar cut the rotor hum, you know Ciotti and Teddy's mission's just begun. FPVs, fur-faced legends, legends sing it loud. Yeah, Teddy spaghetti and CiottiFPV always proud.